Hi there, Prairie Plant Girl here. I just want to show you real quick my garlic harvest and talk a little bit about what I did to get it to this point here. So once my garlic leaves had started to dry back, so I had about 2 to 3 leaves drying back, that's when I went in to harvest it about a week and a half ago. And that's when you want to do it, so you have a good outer covering of dried leaves on your garlic, but it's not getting to the point. Let's see if I can find one here. Here's a good example. Sometimes if you let them dry back too many leaves up the stem, then they'll start to split and you don't have as good of a covering over your garlic. Any that are like this and split open like that, so you can see the individual cloves, they won't store as well, so it's good to put these aside to be using sooner. So I went through, I pulled up all my garlic. It's best to dig down to get your garlic out of the ground, not just pull it up by the tops. It's quite easy to break them off. This is all hardneck garlic, so it was planted last fall. Once I had it all out of the ground, I laid it out on some wire shelving in my Coldframe, which actually gets shade most of the day. So it was a nice cool area. There was airflow through there, and it was a good spot to have the garlic sit and dry out, get the leaves really browned off up the top of the stem, and then once they were all cured and dried off, then I took the garlic and I cut the stems to about this point, and it doesn't really matter where you cut them. That's just where I did for most of my garlic that I'll store. The ones that I'm going to be using sooner, I cut down shorter, and then I cut the roots off. I brushed off any extra dirt, and I just gave them a rub to remove any loose skin that was on them, because it'll just fall off in storage anyways and make a mess. So I just like to give that a little brush and remove what I can, and that gets any extra dirt or anything off as well. Then once I had them all cleaned up, the stems removed, the roots removed, extra skins and dirt removed, then I went through and I sorted through them, and any that were split, like this here, or this one's really split, has the stem there, any like that, I set aside, or really small cloves, any that just didn't look like they would store very long to me. So they're split, they're maybe a lot smaller, maybe they don't feel like they formed very good cloves inside. Those tend to not store as well, so I set those into one area here. I cut the stems right back on them, and I'll use those up probably in the next month or so, making pickles and preserving and things like that, and those will be the first that I use. Then I took out the largest bulbs that I could find, so you can see pretty good difference. Some of them aren't quite as much bigger, but I pulled out some of the largest cloves, and I just got a good selection of larger bulbs of garlic here, and these are the ones that I'll use to replant probably the end of August, maybe middle of August to end of August. So these are the ones that I'll use for that, and then the rest I'll put aside, and those will be my long-term storage that I'll use over the next year until I have my next garlic harvest. So there's a few ways that you can store your garlic. If you cut the stems a little bit longer, you can go through and tie them together and make a decorative bundle like this. And you could take it and leave a loop and hang it. If you have a cold storage space, you could hang it on the wall like this, and then just come through and cut the bulbs off as you need them. What I like to do is just have them in an open basket. So I'll just put all the cloves that I'm going to use for the next year into this basket, and these will go into a cool, dark place. Usually they wind up sitting in my garage for storage. It's attached to my house. We keep it heated in the winter, so it's just above freezing, but it's cooler than inside. Until it cools down, because in the summer it's quite hot. Until then, these will just go in the basement, probably under the stairs. It's usually cooler down there, so that's where they'll be. Then the ones that I'm just going to be planting out right away, again, just to keep them separated, I'm just going to stick them in a paper bag, and I've labeled it so I don't forget about them. And again, they'll just go somewhere cool. The bag will still breathe, and they could be just in another basket like this. This just helps me. They're labeled. They look different, so it just helps to keep track. And then these that I'm going to use right away again. Some of them are going to go to my mom, for her pickles, and some of them I'm going to use. And I'm just going to stick them in a little bag and have them right in my pantry. So they're right there, easy to grab, and they'll be used up within a few weeks to a month. So they'll be fine to store there. There's my 2021 garlic harvest, all cleaned, cured, and sorted, and ready for storage. Just as a side note, I took all the stems and roots and things that I trimmed off of these, cut them up into small pieces, and I used them for mulch over my cucumber plants. So just don't want to, that's good mulch, and it's a dry year, so I thought that would be a great way to use that. You could also put it into your compost. Just find a way to use it, because you don't want to let these things go to waste. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.